We've all called someone too sensitive, too reactive, too responsive at times. Or sometimes we've said, oh my gosh, they just fly off the hook. Why does that happen? Well, I want you to stay with me. It's a little sciencey, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. There's something called the amygdala, and that's in a part of the brain. What that does is it stores information that's going to keep the organism, us, alive. So all the negative experiences that we've had, it's going to store that in this little part of the brain. Now, the prefrontal cortex, which is at the front here, needs that information. It needs to process that information, take its time a little bit to say, oh, wait a second, yes, we've had this experience before, but I don't think there's much danger right now because everything doesn't quite add up. So I'm going to choose to react this way. Now, what happens is the amygdala, the part that stores the information of anything painful, anything traumatic, is going to fire off. And now the body goes into a state of, oh my gosh, what do I do? Do I run? Do I fight back? Do I freeze up? What do I do? Now, if we react, if we keep reacting to whatever the first impulse is, if the first impulse is to run away, then the body just keeps doing that. We have to learn to train ourselves to wait a little bit, just wait a little bit for that information to travel over to the frontal cortex where it can be processed properly. So let's say that you get into a fight with someone, a disagreement, and you start to feel this uncomfortableness within you. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this. I can't stand it. I just want to disappear. That's probably a freeze response if you don't move. If you start getting defensive, that's a fight response. Now, what you can do, and this is why the mindfulness coaches will encourage us to breathe. As you breathe, or you could take a walk, the information starts to move to the prefrontal cortex, and it starts to marinate there. And you could think clearer, you're calmer, and the body's thinking, oh, wait a second, there is no danger here, let me process this information. Now, the difference between someone with an avoidant and an anxious attachment style is that they really need to learn how to sit with their emotions so that they could start to learn how to process emotions. So whenever you have that uncomfortable feeling, try to remind yourself that you should be sitting there for a while to allow your brain and body the time to process the information. It's not going to be easy initially. It probably won't. This isn't to discourage you. This is for you to be gentle with yourself, because there are going to be those times when you just move away. Here's a thing that I did. I was in a relationship, and I would get upset if I felt like he didn't want to be in the relationship anymore. So I would just pack my stuff and I would leave. And what I did was, because I knew that affected him and it affected the relationship, what I did was I wrote on a piece of paper, stop, breathe, go for a walk and come back. Don't take your stuff. Don't pack your stuff. And I had it on top of his drawer, my drawer. So in the event I got impulsive and I didn't allow that information to travel from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex, I could see that note and it'll stop me. And that jars my brain into remembering that this is not something that I want to do. So you can do that. You're going to have those moments where you slip up and you're like, this isn't who I am. This isn't who I want to be. That's all right. The thing about healing is that we keep trying, we keep going, and eventually it becomes easier. I hope this helps.